AITA for taking my girlfriend's daughter on a motorcycle ride? So I've been with my girlfriend for just under a year. We don't live together yet, but we plan on moving in together around April. I'm finishing renovations in my house. She has a daughter, 14, from a previous marriage. I don't really interact with her daughter that much. We'll say hi to each other etc., but we've never actually spent any one-on-one time. On Tuesday my GF called me and asked if I could pick up her daughter from school and take her to lunch because she had to stay late at work. I was free so I agreed. I decided to take my bike because the weather was pretty decent. It was cold but it wasn't raining. So after I picked her daughter up we went for some kebabs, and afterwards her daughter asked me if she could ride around with me for a bit before I take her home. I didn't know she was into motorcycles, so I thought that this might be my opportunity to bond with her. So we drove around on some countryside roads for about an hour and then I dropped her off. That same evening my GF called me and she was furious that I picked her daughter up from school on my bike. I told her that she never said I couldn't use my bike. We had a small argument and she called me selfish and irresponsible. But I still think I didn't do anything wrong. AITA here? Fellow motorcyclist, I'd never take a minor as a passenger without checking. It is a good bonding opportunity. But you may have ruined it. YTA. I grew up with bikers. My first motorcycle ride, I was 8 months old, in a child seat made for older children on bicycles, rigged up on the back of my dad's Honda CB. When I was 12, my uncle took me to school on his hog. And it wasn't a big deal to anyone. When I was 16, I lost a friend, one of the guys at my school, in a motorcycle accident. He was riding with his dad. They had helmets. They were being safe. It wasn't dark yet. It's a small town, not crazy traffic. But the drunk teens in the pickup weren't being safe. They were all fine. My friend, well, a helmet only protects your head. Motorcycles are great. Being on a motorcycle, anywhere that anyone else might be driving, comes with a high risk. And it's up to a parent to decide if their kid gets to take that risk. People didn't think about those risks much when I was a kid. Where I grew up, if this was the 1980s, or you had no access to the internet, I'd say there is no awe. But it's not. It's common knowledge that there's a safety concern with motorcycles. It's common knowledge that some people are violently against motorcycles. You should have known to ask. It is not common to assume someone with two types of transportation would choose the less safe option. To transport a child, your girlfriend had no reason to assume you would. You're in the wrong for sure. But beyond that, she told you you shouldn't do something with her child which you'd already done. And instead of just acknowledging her right to make that choice, you argued, and still think you did nothing wrong. For that, YTA. YTA. Mildly. Your heart was in the right place and she could have specified for clarity. But I think it's common sense to not pick up a kid on a motorcycle. They are dangerous at the best of times. She probably didn't say anything because she thought she didn't have to. I watched my friend die on the road from a motorcycle accident that wasn't his fault. He was literally going the speed limit, wearing a helmet and a jacket. I'll grant you that I'm triggered. Haven't been a passenger on a bike since. Drive safely. YTA. Motorcycles are objectively less safe than many other modes of transportation. You should have had explicit permission to put her on a motorbike. YTA. I'm bike crazy, have 2 Ducatis and I have never taken my daughter out with me. I understand the risks and ride as safely as I can. It is a risk I accept for myself but would not expose her to. You know as a biker how stupidly people drive and how many bikers have accidents that aren't their fault at all. As a parent, I would be furious if someone else had taken her on the back of a bike without permission. No matter how cautiously they rode, it is no one else's decision to make but a child's parents. Did you have a professionally fitted helmet for a 14-year-old? The right size leathers? Or armored Kevlar gear? I bet not. In which case you are a huge asshole. To be honest, I'd probably dump you over taking my child out without proper protective gear. YTA. You should have asked first. You might trust yourself. But you're with an inexperienced passenger. Bikes are dangerous. And even if you two rode perfectly, if y'all had been hit by another driver, she could have gotten seriously injured, way more so than if you'd been in a car. I understand your girlfriend's reaction completely. As someone who's been in a motorcycle accident, and not by any fault of the driver of the bike, YTA, bikes are far more dangerous than vehicles. No matter what precautions you take, she is a minor and someone else's child. And I'm confused as to how many NTA statements on here with the justification you were just doing a kind thing by trying to bond. People do bad, stupid things all the time with good intentions. And it doesn't mean they aren't an asshole at the end of the day. I have a really hard time believing an experienced bike rider would not see picking up an underage child of another person on a bike as an issue. Totally irresponsible. Motorcycle fatalities are 30 times higher than vehicle accidents, and that's all that has to be said here. I still don't think I did anything wrong. The anthem of assholes. YTA. You aren't her parent. You should have checked with your girlfriend first. Obviously. YTA. I've been riding for 20 years. I still would never take a minor for a ride without parents' permission. I'm not afraid of my driving. I'm afraid of everyone else's. Have you seen what people are like on the roads? I understand the risk. I've taken defensive riding courses and I've dropped my bike enough times over the years that I'm pretty good at the tuck and roll and know how to minimize injuries if someone hits me. A 14-year-old who's never ridden before doesn't. If I'm in a car and someone bumps me from behind or cuts me off, oh well, ding on the fender and maybe an airbag to the face. On a bike, you know that could be a death sentence. I don't care how good of a rider you are. It doesn't matter because they keep making better idiots that share the road with you. Info. What kind of gear was she wearing? YTA. Motorcycles don't provide anywhere near the same occupant protection as a car. And your GF was trusting you with her child. You can't just spontaneously go on impulse of, hey, I feel it's a nice say for a ride, when it comes to the safety of a child. Please remember that your GF literally had to have a safe baby car seat just to take her daughter home from the hospital. And in her mind, that was yesterday in parent years. You also don't mention if you of the kid were wearing helmets. Please tell me that kid had a proper helmet on? She's really rattled, and now has serious questions about your judgment about keeping her child safe. You need to do serious damage control. Dude. YTA. You should have asked. It doesn't sound like your bike is your default mode of travel, and a motorcycle without a sidecar is technically for one person. I wouldn't want to take someone on the back of bike with no experience. Especially a kid. You always ask about taking a kid on motorcycle. YTA. Motorcycles have a risk factor that not all parents are comfortable with, and I can't imagine you just didn't know that. Did you even have proper gear for her? I love to ride, but you should always ask permission taking minors on a bike. Some people don't feel the same about bikes. Slight YTA. YTA. Specifically for your retort of, well, you didn't tell me I couldn't take the bike. You're an adult, and you should know that yes, you have to ask a parent before you take their child to do something dangerous. especially if you have a less dangerous alternative readily available, which it sounds like you absolutely did. YTA. While I think it was indeed a good opportunity to bond with her, you didn't make sure she had the necessary equipment, clothes so she could ride with you. My father initiated me to riding when I was 9 but never overestimated his driving skills and always got me, at least, a helmet so I'd be less likely to be injured if we were to fall. You never know what might happen. Been a motorcyclist 50 years. Would never take a child without parental permission. YTA. The audacity at you taking someone else's child on a ride on your donor cycle. I always thought common sense was common, but reading some of the stories here on Reddit opened my eyes to how stupid and irresponsible many people are. YTA. I ride. I work never ride with a minor passenger on my bike without their parents' permission. People have all kinds of feelings about motorcycles, and it's not up to me to decide if someone's minor child belongs in the back of my bike. YTA. Motorbikes are a risky form of transport. People in motorbike accidents are 4 times more likely to be injured and 30 times more likely to be killed than people in car accidents. You need explicit permission to take someone's child on your motorbike. You didn't have it.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Aircast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.